name is Dave Gregory. I'm a guitarist. I first heard from François and Eva in the spring of 2012, having been referred by my friend Cathal Coughlan, with whom I'd worked some years previously on an album, a solo album he'd done called Black River Falls back in 1999. And it was through Carl that François got in touch with me, asking if I'd be interested in taking part in a concert he was planning in tribute to George Harrison, or more specifically his album All Things Must Pass. He was going to be calling Tout un monde distrats, and it was going to be 6 songs from George's album plus a few songs that he and Eva Schwabe, his partner, had written. And it was all going to be taking place the following year at a theatre called La Sirène in La Rochelle in France. And so it sounded like a lot of fun, and I agreed to do it. Went to La Rochelle to meet them for the first time. This was in May 2013, and we began rehearsals for this concert in the theatre itself. They had a rehearsal studio in the basement and a restaurant which had its own just splendid lunches, which seemed to get longer and longer as the days went by. Anyway, it was all a lot of fun. I liked them all immensely, and the music was great. Everyone was gung-ho for the project, and it all went off very well. We did 2 concerts, followed by a third gig in a town called MUSEA, which is a few miles south of La Rochelle. Anyway, that's how it all began. And then the following year, in 2014, Eva and François had written an album called Into the Green. It was basically a horticulturally themed record about plants and nature and what have you. Lots of interesting material, lots of good songs. They needed some electric guitar. Now, at the time, I was with a group in England called Big Big Train. They were very keen to know who our producer and recording engineer was. So, of course, I said, well, we work with Rob Aubrey. He's got his own studio near Southampton. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you if you wanted to work with him, which is how that relationship started. So they came to Southampton, and we spent a day at Rob's studio recording guitars for Into the Green, although the album, it was a few years before it was eventually released. That came out at the end of 2017, but again, fun project, lots of fun to do. It also involved Cathal Coughlan again, and another friend of mine, Martin Newell, who's a poet and songwriter and singer, who was also involved. So it was all very friendly. François and Eva had written an opera called Qui est fou, and this was something that they put on the stage in the early 2000s. I wasn't aware of what it was at the time, and this is where Cathal Coughlan had got involved with them. He was singing and performing with this stage show, and they were planning to get it recorded and released on album. That apparently hadn't happened for a variety of reasons. Anyway, they were now ready to make a record of the music from this show, and they asked me if I'd be happy to do some guitars, which of course I was. And François sent me a conductor score of a song called Interrogatoire. I think that's the title. He wanted all the instruments that he'd used on the stage reproduced on guitar, and he sent me the scores, and it was a question of playing or deciphering the music of these various instruments and translating them onto guitar. I wanted to make it a big electric guitar themed song. No producer had ever sent me scores to work from, and this is a tribute to his musicianship. He was a serious composer and arranger. He knew about notation, he knew about recording and arranging and producing. So it was a real treat for me to have all this prepared for me. I didn't have to think about anything more than what was written on the page. And that was, again, that was in the spring of 2021. And then here we are, March 2025. The album is about to be released. It's all finished now. And of course, sadly, we lost François in November. I had no idea he'd been ill. It came as quite a shock. You know, he was such a lovely guy, so full of life, full of music. He loved music. He was a great musician, and full of life. He was always buzzing. And I listened again to Interrogatoire, and I can hear his personality in the music. It's quirky, it's bouncy, it's musical humour. There's a lot of humour and character in it. That's kind of how I'm going to remember him, I think, that little piece of music, because there's so much of him in it. I'm so sorry he's gone. He was a lovely man, and I miss him.